Hello, hello, everyone. How is everyone doing today for the second ever FLG Events Weekly Live? Who all's in here? I wonder. Let's give it a second. I'm actually loading up the player packet from Las Vegas Teams Tournament that we can talk about, since the subject of today's Weekly Live is going to be about the paint rubric. So we have a brand new paint rubric for FLG events, that is, coming in and launching for 2026, starting with the Las Vegas Teams Tournament. For those of you who don't know, that's going down January 10th this year at the World Market Center at the Skyview. Awesome views. It is a teams event in collaboration with the NTL and the ATC this year, where teams of 5 go up against other teams of 5. Should be a super fun turnout. The last time we did LVTT was back in, what was it, 2022, I think? So it's been a minute, or maybe it was 2023. Time is a farce. Lose track of time for sure. But yeah, 2026 kicks off our calendar of events with LVTT, followed shortly after with the Cherokee Open in February, at the end of February. So that's in North Carolina at the awesome Harrah's Cherokee Casino Resort. Definitely one of my favorites, one of my favorite venues for sure. And actually for 2027, pushing the date out a little bit further to catch that little bit of better weather. I would love to actually see Cherokee in springtime or even fall. I think it'd be gorgeous. But yeah, so we're gonna push it a little bit towards early March for 2027. But now we're speaking too far into the future, so I'll just stop right there. But yeah, thanks for whoever is online and joining us today. I see a comment came through from Ganny J. So what I plan to do on these lives is essentially make sure the narrative is always driven by content that you're interested in and the information that you're looking to obtain surrounding FLG events, and any questions that I might be able to answer for you. So yeah, I am Jake, and let's just jump right into this, guys. So battle ready is a bit of an ambiguous term, but what it's most commonly known as is what is the paint requirement to attend, and not just our events, but like really like any event in particular. It was kind of a known thing. So one of the things that that FLG had started a while back was, in order to protect the integrity of the hobby, and just for tournament play, competitive play, just really for like events play, is to make sure that the armies that show up onto the tabletop are of at least like a baseline standard. So meaning like 2,000 points specifically to 40K. If you spent hours and hours, days, weeks painting your army, and then you show up and basically like there's an unpainted army on the other side, that's never like a fun feeling. It's definitely like a critical part of the hobby, in my opinion, and really just like by tournament standards these days. So the 3-color minimum was something that we had implemented a while back, and it was I would say like a straightforward fix to standardizing what constitutes as fully painted. But naturally, when you go with a term that just says 3-color minimum, there are instances where people will just paint a little bit of silver on like the barrel of a bolter, paint black, black primer being like one of the base colors, and then some kind of like accent color. So long gone are the days of the 3-color minimum. And it's not everybody, it's not like a majority of the players that are ever really trying to like angle shoot in this regard for the hobby requirement. But in order to get your full 10 points for battle ready at FLG events, is going to be it's going to be a requirement that it is by definition battle ready. And what we've done within the new paint rubric that is available online here at under LVTT, in that player packet, it's so it is available for everyone to view and prep for. But yeah, by definition, we've gone a little further into defining what battle ready really means. So GW has a great article that was published a while back that defines battle ready, but even that is, it can be a little bit ambiguous. And within the hobby side of things, there's always gonna be some room for interpretation, of course. But when it comes to like standardized events, and especially for ITC hobby track scoring and just the general like painting competition that we always encourage people to participate at each of the events. You know, you'll want us to define that a little bit more, and that's been something that we've been committed to, is to make sure that it's standardized as much as possible, so that everybody's kind of on the same level playing field. So I'm gonna post up this rubric here in a second. But firstly, let's define what battle. Let's follow along and see like what actually like what the kind of expectation is. But as far as like the process goes, if you've never attended an event, or if you've never attended one of our events, or if you've never entered in one of the painting competitions, as long as you're a ticket holder and you know you're playing and participating in the event, entry into the hobby skills competition side of things for said event, whether it's 40K, AOS, Legion, so on and so forth. Nearly every single one of the events that we put on at every event has a painting competition or paint scoring. Today in particular, we're going to be talking about 40K, just because it is that's where we started defining as far the rubric goes. Yeah, so today's information is going to be surrounding specifically for those 40K champs players out there. So yeah, so entering is completely free. Like I said, all you need to do is have a event ticket purchased, and then you're eligible. So what we will make even more clear moving forward is the dedicated area and the instructions in the schedule, which are always on the player packet, as to how to participate in this. And I really, really do. I strongly encourage everyone that puts time and energy into painting their armies up to get paint scored. It's a lot of fun. I feel it plays a really big part in improving skill levels and just kind of pushing the envelope on stuff, because just as important as the gameplay is, I really like the hobby side. I can't stress enough how important the hobby side is as well. There's nothing like an amazing looking army that you're playing across the tabletop, from varying skill levels. Truth be told, anything above primer just looks cooler. And I'm sure a lot of people can agree to that. So yeah, entering is super straightforward. So you come on site, you check the schedule, see what hours the paint judging is going to happen. A lot of times it happens before the round one starts, and then in between for lunch. So it just varies between like if it's a 3-day event or if it's a 2-day event. But yeah, always check the schedule for that, and get your army judged at the appropriate station where it's marked hobby judging area or hobby skills area. I'm sorry, I forgot what the sign exactly says, but yeah, we do have a banner and a sign. We'll make sure it's always like clear and visible as far as like where to and how to display. And that's pretty much it. The only requirement is that you're battle ready. So like, obviously if you got other issues if your whole army itself is not battle ready, but that's kind of it. Like, it just has to be fully painted and you're eligible to get your paint scoring. So what we did change up a little bit here is the process of it. So each judge, each approved and authorized hobby judge, those typically are local judges or regional judges that have a background, whether they're at a professional level or they have a ton of experience on the hobby side of things. So basically, like, you're going to get your hobby score done and completed by a judge that is, has a lot of experience. So what you'll see is, here, I'm gonna put this up while we're talking. So you'll get an entry card that's like this, and we're going to update this for the 2026 season. But essentially, it'll have the backside of it will have the information for you to enter in your information. So it'll be an identifier as far as like your army and your name, so we can make sure there's no like mix up or pretty much like any kind of mix up, really. Why am I having a hard time finding this? Could have sworn I saw it right here. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay. All right. Because it's the PDF. I apologize. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to just share my screen. Okay. But yeah, so within the player packet itself, scroll down to the hobby skills section of things, and it'll give you the basic overview. And then there will be a link for hobby skills slides, or sorry, the hobby skills rubric. And let's get this up. Sorry, guys, bear with me. Newer software still. All right, I got it. I got it. All right, there we go. Okay, let's close this up. All right, so yeah, once you fill out your card here, you will be once it's filled out by a judge, then you will get scored. Each judge will have one of these rubrics printed out and assigned to each contestant and player that's participating. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. Like once you're done and you get that confirmation that you got scored, you're good to go. If you made the top cut, the top hobby cut, which means the eligible for the final round of hobby scoring. And what we do is a showcase typically on day 2 or the last day of the event, if you will, where I would say on average, it's like the top 20 placements within the hobby skills showing will be invited to display and present their armies for the top cut showcase. And that is where we do all the tiebreakers and essentially like really, really like fine detail the judging component. So how the rubric is broken down is 80 points worth. So everything's out of 100, but it's 80 points worth of objective scoring, followed by 20 points of subjective scoring. So that's pretty straightforward. But yeah, so like the first category, meaning the basic standards, that would be a max of 20 points. So you can score either 0, 15, or 20. Incomplete, not great. Getting zeros, not great. So, again, you're probably not really eligible there for the 10 battle points within the tournament anyway. So I can't imagine a lot of people are going to be scoring zeros here. For tabletop standard, which is essentially like our definition of battle ready. And I will show you after this that there is another resource on our events hub that defines clearly what we identify as battle ready. Tabletop plus, it's a term that a lot of people should be familiar with as well, where it really means that the army itself and the paint job and the skills depicted are elevated to a much higher level, or an above average level. Category 2, another 20 points max that you can score here. And this is surrounding technique and execution. So this is where the finer details and the finer nuances of the hobby skills gets scrutinized. Yeah, scrutinized. Let's go with that word. But yeah, so you've got 5 different tiers that really like differentiate all different kinds of levels and what tier that you would fall into there. Category 3, it evaluates imagination, cohesion, and storytelling within the Army's presentation. So it gets, it gets a little more fine-tuned as we go further down this list. This is maximum of 15 points that you'd be eligible for here. And this is the category. So category 3 is where just your overall presentation comes into play. I would always suggest here, while the judges do their best to remain objective, but like really presentation overall is a thing. So meaning like, take a moment there to arrange your models in a way that tells the story that you're trying to go for. Make sure your models aren't, knocked over or just turned, backwards, or unless it's intentional, unless it's like some one-off like scheme or something. But make sure that you're presenting in the entirety of it. But category 3 is also where display boards, so like custom 2x2 display boards are factored in, because that really like just tells the overall story. As far as category 4, this is a max of 25 points, and these are considered bonus points. That's going to be the easiest way to explain that. So meaning you can score, it's not just like an on or off, but you can score up to an additional 25 points. So this 10-point bonus is for an exemplary finish. So that's over their overall composition demonstrates top tier artistic and technical execution. So this is what's replacing what we kind of referred to previously as like the master class 0 to 20 points, but like this is just a little bit more nuance. So you get 5 bonus points for actually doing gems properly, lens, you could be, or not just gems, but like gems, lenses, faces, and glow effects. As written here, it's at, they are executed at an advanced level. So, you know, kudos if you attempt to do gems, but obviously like those that are doing those fine details and special effects are going to get awarded these extra little bonus points for breaking into that next tier level. Yeah, okay, so this is a max of up to 25 points that you can score bonus points for your awesome sweet paint jobs. And then the final subjective category here is the judge's choice. So this is reserved for judges' discretion and tie-breaking purposes, because it gets really close, especially when it comes to top cut entries. It's like it gets really, really close sometimes is what I can say. And that's when we're like basically looking at everything from like a really like microscopic level and taking the whole presentation and the whole theme vibe, so on and so forth, into consideration. But yeah, so the first part of this is 0 to 10 points can be scored for just the showcase impact. So that's the wow factor, the initial like overall wow factor there. And then the judges choice category also gets you up to 0 to 10 points. And this is just purely subjective scoring for uniqueness, tie breaking, exemplary skill, so on and so forth. But yeah, so that totals up to 100 points eligible at each of the events. Naturally, it's going to be hard to score a full 100. So you know the goal with this rubric is to help both judges as well as players get fair and accurate and objective scoring, and really like break those ties accordingly within the judges' choice category. So yeah, up to 100 points eligible. Usually, you know, for ITC hobby scoring, like we want to make sure that it is above par and of a consistent standard, and so that's what this rubric is gonna accomplish there. A little bit of a disclaimer. So this has kind of been an unspoken rule in the past, but in all fairness, so like if you won an award to some degree, whether it's best painted first, second, or third, or Paragon, in larger events we do like multiple placements for Paragon, but Paragon is our best overall award, which is a combination of your final placement as well as your final hobby score. So the best overall award, if you will, for Paragon. So if you actually won any kind of award for placement at a particular event, what this disclaimer does, or what this little rule snippet does, is you have to enter something new for the next year's event. So yeah, it's a little bit of a caveat there. Like I said, this has always been like an unspoken rule, but it's a little bit more formalized right now. What this avoids is, for instance, you know, not really cool like having like the same display board, the same army, you know, like winning like, let's call it like 10 events throughout the entire year, and then going back next year to do the same thing. And you know, really just promoting like the aspect of the hobby where it's like new year, new army, like, or new year, new display, something. Granted, like within a 12 month cycle, most of the times like the armies itself changes anyways, or usually does within like a tournament setting. But yeah, so it's or sorry, to be specific, it's over 70% identical from the previous year if you won an award for it. So yeah, pretty straightforward stuff. I'm really excited to get this out and launched into the 2026 year. Anticipate maybe a little bit of fine tuning might be needed, but not by much. This is a curated rubric from several different variations that we've had and used at Frontline events throughout the last decade, if you will. So it's pretty dialed in, guys. If anybody's in chat right now, feel free to ask a question or share your thoughts on it. But yeah, exciting stuff. So for the upcoming events, this will be live and in place at the Las Vegas Teams tournament, which is going to be scored on an individual basis, because in a 5-person team, not everybody wants to compete as a team. So individual basis is always kind of cool. You've got some of the competitive players on your team, you've got some hobbyists on your team, you've got some overall just good at kind of a little bit of everything on the team. But yeah, so individual basis hobby scoring, so just like most other events, is what you'll expect at Las Vegas Teams tournament in January. And then this will be active for the Cherokee Open as well. We always get like a really, really good showing at a lot of these regional events. So definitely very excited for this. I'm huge on the hobby myself. But the Paragon Award is my absolute favorite award. The best overalls is, I think it's a commendable award, not taking away from like either side of it, but it's hard to do. It's hard to accomplish a best overall at these larger events. To place higher on your tournament placing than others, and in conjunction with getting the best paint score, like that's a commendable award for me. So yeah, I am personally just really, really big on the hobby, and in a lot of cases, because you guys see me you've seen me at all the events, all the FLG events this 2025 calendar year. Then you'll see me at the 2026 ones as well. I typically jump in and am listed as a top cut finalist judge only. So like, meaning like I won't do the preliminary scoring. That's always done by one of our very qualified judges during time being. And primary reason is like it kind of, there's usually other stuff going on the event side of things, like the event administration and organization side of things. But where you'll see me usually have a vote to cast would be in the top cut. I am no stranger to Paragon Awards or Best Overall Awards myself. Not bragging, just saying, like, I promise I am qualified to a degree. For those that have ever been across from me at a tabletop, you know how much pride I take in my army paint jobs. Yeah, it's just because I love this hobby so much. The hobby portion of it is like what is definitely like a super exciting part. Yeah, let's go through some of these comments. Gany NJ, what's your favorite wash to use or finishing trick to go from 3 colors to battle ready? That's a tough one. That's a tough one. My favorite wash to use, 100%, is, and I'm basic. You feel free to call me basic for this, but I'm really impartial to a lot of the Citadel GW paints. Call me a creature of habit, but I'm just so used to it. The magic of Null Oil or Agrax Earthshade, that gets you going pretty quick. But as far as like one of the tricks and like how to go a little bit faster, because I would consider that my personal specialty, probably because like I'm typically just short on time in life, being parent, work, so on and so forth. But painting quick and getting battle ready plus very, very quickly is oddly something I've become known for. But one of the tricks for sure is just picking the right colors, and that's half the battle when it comes to painting overall, is just picking the right colors, and that also includes picking the right intensity of colors. So for instance, if you were painting a let's call it just an ultramarine, might just be the easiest example right here. So if you go too dark of a blue, so if you go like one of the dark blues, like Cantor blue, just like a really deep like navy blue, and then you wash it, basically the wash, or like a black wash or a null oil, isn't going to show up because the the color, the base color itself is just too dark. So it's almost like pointless to actually wash it unless you're trying to build up to a degree of layers. But then if you go Macragge blue or like a lighter blue, I wanted to say enchanted blue, but that's how long I've been in the hobby. I don't remember what it's called now, but what is that blue called? But anyways, the lighter blue, so the lighter color that you go, the more the wash like will actually pull out the depth. So that would be my biggest tip on that side of things, is when if you're trying to just go faster, which is totally fair. No judgment at all. Like, believe me, like I've stayed up many a nights before an event myself, getting something painted just because I forgot it was in my list, or forgot that that was that was the configuration that I was going to, or God forbid, sometimes there's models that just hide on my hobby station and I forgot to paint them. It happens pretty frequently, actually. But yeah, so just go lighter colors if you're just going to go like kind of like a 3-color battle ready minimum. And then really dry brushing. I think dry brushing is super underrated as far as a technique goes. Those that take it to like the next level of like doing like, like wet dry brushing, if you will. It's a really efficient way to bring out highlights instead of having to do like the traditional like edge highlighting or like paint detailing. And of course, both techniques have its place. But yeah, so to kind of sum that up, I would absolutely never skip the dry brushing element and the shading using a wash if you're not going to just do like layer buildups. Don't skip both of those steps, and you're pretty much good to go. I would definitely suggest picking out some degree of details. For faces, the difference between just painting it a skin color and giving it a flesh colored wash and just leaving it right there, like don't even worry about the eyes if you're trying to go fast, that already elevates, painting that level of detail already elevates things that much more. So yeah, that's where I would suggest as far as like going fast. Nurgle Matthew, looking good, team. Yes, no, you look good. Yeah, Nurgle Matthew is gonna be one of our judges in Cherokee as well. Nurgle Matthew, if you're still with us, are you going to be one of our hobby judges? We don't have that player packet up yet, but it's also only November. Only November. Can you guys believe it's Thanksgiving next week? I didn't either. Yeah, I didn't either. But yeah, Nurgle Matthew, if you've seen him around, he's, I would consider him an absolute champion of the community. Lovely individual. Definitely knows the game. Was most recently one of our 40K judges at LVO. And he will be joining us for the first time at the Cherokee Open as a 40K judge. So looking forward to seeing Matthew at Cherokee. Spaceman 3000. Thank you so much. The rubric being top tier, I really appreciate that. So yeah, it takes a lot of work from our team side, from our events team side, to put together not only things like the paint rubric, but also the player packet itself. It is definitely not an easy and straightforward thing. Yeah, so like what was our process for this, and kind of what the goal here was for this year's player packet, because it's already a lot of information, if I'm being honest. It's a lot of information. It's a lot of important information. It's all relevant. Everything you need to know when it comes to an event format is going to be found in a player packet. So that's really the truth of it. You want to read it, but realistically speaking, it can be a lot to digest, especially for first timers. So I wanted to make sure it was a priority on our end. So after getting input and information from our judge team, primarily Mr. Solis, our FLG 40K head judge. Where is he? Where is he? There he is. Okay, just so you can see his face while we're talking about him. After getting the details and the input, it's the next priority was to kind of break information up, remove anything that was kind of redundant or irrelevant, or just maybe it's outdated at this point, because let's be real, the editions changed over the years, the formats changed over the years. So just kind of like cleaning things up to say, to put it in its simplest form, was the initiative. But easier said than done. But what better than a new year to showcase our new player packet format? Paragons, another comment from Spaceman. Paragon is harder than placing top. You have to be good at two things rather than one. LOL, but I agree. 100% I agree. That's why it's one of my favorites, because it's like super hard. There's the gaming part that's one thing, but then there's the whole like art subjective thing that's another. No, I couldn't agree more. It is hard. Actually, both are hard. They're all hard. I've never won like a large event, but I have gotten best general. Neither are easy. Like you still had to do like a 5-1 or like a 5-1 record out of a 6-person event or a 6-round event. So neither are like easy, but yeah, the painting part is definitely a different aspect for sure. So for future packets, will there be examples on the differences? Sorry. I know the core book has examples, but are the judges willing to post examples so the players have a reference? So that's a tough one. It's a great question too. So we were tossing around the idea of putting out examples, but even that gets a little complicated. Because if we post examples of a Space Marine, does that really apply to demons? Like how different can things be? And then there's that artistic element too. So I think, sorry, to answer your question, there's no immediate plans to actually like post examples, because truth be told, like I'm not entirely confident about what those examples would look like. To put as far as like a rule set, if you will. And that's the only reason why it has to be like a hard, like in my opinion, like any kind of like rulings or format, things like that, they have to be hard, like left to no interpretation to say like, well, the packet says this or the rubric says this. So no immediate plans to do that, but when in doubt, for if you have a question about like if your army is battle ready or if your model is considered battle ready, just always contact the head judge email within the player packet. In this case, it's always headjudge@frontlinegaming.org, but you can click Adam's face there, and it'll just auto send an email, and then just post, send him a picture of the example, and you'll get a response back confirming or denying. Alternatively, if you want to crowdsource it, you could always pop into our Discord under the hobby section and just crowdsource it and get other people's opinions faster. But I feel like the words itself within our battle ready definition guidelines. Actually, that's a good thing. Let me pull this up here as well. Oops. Okay. There we go. All right. So the events hub, under info. So we got some resources here. So if you've never been to our events hub, it's got our entire calendar year scheduled out. And as events go live, you can pop in and see all the information that you're looking for. But to info and for the hobby guidelines. So this is where you will see the written definition of what we consider being battle ready, right? So yeah, lots of good information here. Our goal is always improve on making sure that the information is easily accessible, readily available. Sorry, this does not pop up on this browser, but here it is. Anyways, that was the link. Apparently, like the screen share is not going to show, whatever tab I have. It's showing like tab specifics. But yeah, feel free to take a look at this, if that's helpful at all. Spaceman 3000. Yeah, lots of information on the events hub. That's events.frontlinegaming.org. Yeah. Ganny J, how do you feel about contrast paints and why those players lose 10 points on the printing rubric. That is a JK because contrast paints are great. You do have to know how to use them. They're just like an additional tool. So we'll assume that that's an actual JK. Because matte varnish fixes contrasts. Those paints leave everything shiny. That they do, especially if like you're maybe not cutting it or mixing it, or just even like having some weird kind of like variation within the primer that you're using as well. But no, I've successfully used contrast paints for some quick jobs or for like a certain layer texture. I was painting some orange on Junior's Votan actually before he went to Worlds, and I had to get a squad of Jaegers done really quickly. And if for those of you know, orange is not a very easy color to paint to like a high standard. Not that I was going for like a super high standard within a week, but I've actually hardly ever used the actual contrast primer for contrast paints, like the what is it called, Gray Seer and Wraithbone. Yeah, Gray Seer and Wraithbone. I'll always kind of play with the primer itself based off of like whatever the final tone was. So to paint the orange, for instance, I went with Raykarth Flesh first. So that's more like a tan or taupe base coat color, and yeah, came across as pretty matte. But you should matte varnish everything anyway. That's I feel like that would be a sin not to matte varnish your miniatures, especially if you're a tournament goer. Your models get knocked around, be it through travel or whatever, and you spent all that time painting your models. Protect them. Just give it a light spray of matte varnish there. Yep, Yanni J, Hobbyson, Sinner. Well, awesome, guys. Well, hopefully this was helpful. I'm going to try to chop up little bits of this so I can kind of post it in bite-size formats that can always be accessed. Really hope this helps some of those individuals out there that might have a question on what is considered battle ready and whatnot. I would love to be able to use this software or get more familiar with this software. I think the one thing I was missing was like just showing you my stuff, or like showing examples of stuff on camera. But I've got my whole actually like a lot of my army kind of on this side of my office with the inside the glass cabinets. So rather than it being like a show and tell, if you will, I'm not trying to do a show and tell, but looking and sharing minis is always great. But yeah, there's got to be a way we can do like more of an interactive type of thing, maybe even like hobby on live together, if you will. But yeah, if there's any topics in particular that you would like these streams specifically geared towards events to cover, the goal is here every Friday. Not even the goal. It is every Friday. I've made a commitment here to talk about FLG events related stuff, anything relevant and variable, and giving us a way to interact. If there's questions, like this is where this is where I'll be on Friday afternoons or evenings, depending on what time frame you're in. But yeah, thanks so much for joining me, guys. And if you haven't gotten your LVTT tickets and you do plan on coming, I would suggest to pick those up. There's less than 10 remaining still within, and it's an actual hard cap. We can't make up space at this venue. So get those team tickets, get your Cherokee tickets, and look out for RMO, Rocky Mountain Open. Exciting stuff. We're going to launch soon. I can't tell you when because I actually don't know when exactly, but pretty soon. If anything, I'd have to guess by next week. I know everybody's been waiting for that. And for all you Denver folk out there, the date has moved to May. So May 1st is the new date for Rocky Mountain Open. All right, guys, that's a wrap. I'm gonna call it. Hopefully you all have a fantastic weekend, a fabulous Friday evening, and hobby hard. And I'll catch you guys soon.